is Monica Hammond. I am from the United States. I live in Lynbrook, New York.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Herstory TV and the Herstory podcast. This is Gertrude Butcher here in beautiful Wellington, New Zealand. And I am graced with the presence of yet another fascinating, creative young woman coming to us from the United States. Welcome to our tribe. Tell everybody your full name, where you're based, how old you are, and share your story with us today.
Oh, thank you so much. My name is Monica Hammond. I am from the United States. I live in Lynbrook, New York, and I am what I call a serial entrepreneur. I currently own and run 3 different businesses. I sort of stumbled into entrepreneurship by accident, as so many people do. I started out as an actor for many years. I went to drama school to be an actor and moved to New York City to pursue that passion back in 2004, I want to say. I can't even think of the date. I'm 35 years old at this point. I've been in New York almost 20 years. And I had been working on a web series for writing and self-producing. I love to write and passion for the arts and creativity. And one day I was like, I'm going to make my own poster for my web series. And I bought this little stylus pad and pen that I still have to this day, sitting on my desk, for $72. And I started doodling, thinking that I was going to make this poster. And I ended up looking at it and I was like, this is terrible. And definitely not going to be my web series poster. But I was like, oh, it kind of looks like a coloring book. And at the time, coloring books were like really, really, really in. It was like in 2015-ish, they were like having this like massive resurgence. So I was like, okay, I'm going to hop on this trend. And I created a few custom coloring pages about hot guys because I figured that would sell. And I put the pages up on Etsy and they sold. And I was like kind of shocked. I was like, okay, I guess I'm onto something here. And I made a few other little books, doodles and whatever. And it really started selling and taking off. And I was like, wow, this is like a great supplemental income, because at the time I was trying to be an actor and I was a babysitter, like just barely scraping by, like barely paying New York City rent. And so this little bit of income was really helpful. And then I got approached on Etsy by Martha Stewart Weddings. And they wanted to feature me in their magazine. They have a whole section on good things, like cute things for your weddings. So they featured my business and my illustrations for custom weddings. And that ended up just, skyrocketing my coloring book business, which I did I still have my coloring book business. But I did that for, about almost 7 years at this point. And then last year, by day, I work for a Broadway producer. I worked as the director of marketing for many, many years while I was doing my coloring books on the side. And then COVID hit. And obviously Broadway completely shut down. Everybody,
Yes.
Not everybody, but pretty much everyone lost their jobs. Every actor I knew, writers, directors, producers. It's been a pretty bad situation. Fortunately, I still kept my job, which was so wonderful. But during this time, I thought of this idea. I had been throwing and writing murder mystery parties for years for my friends, just for fun every Halloween. And I was like, wow, now that Broadway shut down, people need this like fun and creative outlet. And as a performer, I love murder mystery parties because you get to dress up and you get to act like another character, and it just like taps into everything that I love. So I thought that other Broadway people would like it as well. And so that's how Broadway Murder Mysteries was born. And I was just shocked at the response right away. I launched it in, I believe, April of last year. So right after the shutdown, I hired some Broadway actors to voice my murder mysteries for me, because there's always a detective character that has a video. And I launched with almost $30,000 in sales in those first few weeks, like when everyone else's businesses were like crashing. So it was a big success for me. And I've been, pushing along, hit six figures, not too long after that. So I've been
Wow.
really, really blessed and excited about that business. And then just recently, I left my job as a director of marketing for the Broadway producer I was working with for a long time to start my own marketing firm called Big Leap Brands. So that is now my third business.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's sort of my herstory, if you will.
I
So
love this. Your story is so inspiring, Monica. A lot of people are stuck right now and in search of inspiration, especially the creatives.
Mhm.
Creative people have found themselves in a situation they hadn't thought they would be in, ever before. And having that ability to see what else is in you that you can use to create an income, like what you've done, is just absolutely inspiring to see. So if you were to go back to you a year ago when everything was going wrong,
Mhm.
everything stopped, it looks bleak, and give yourself 3 nuggets of advice, what would you say to that younger you?
That's a great question. Um, the first one is just tap into that creativity. Um, for me, just having such like a strange background, I've had so many different jobs over the years, and my background in theater and acting and everything. Just look at all the different skills that you have and how can you turn that into something new and create value for other people. I guess that's one nugget. I guess what other piece of advice? Tap into friendships and connections. I really was able to propel my murder mystery business through some random connections that I had in the industry, that I made years ago and didn't necessarily think would go anywhere, and they really took me far places. Um, and then just don't be afraid to spend. I know
Ah,
so many people during this time, especially for my coloring book business, because I work, a lot of my clients use my coloring books for marketing materials. People just cut their ad budgets. They just stopped spending money. And I totally understand that. But I found that by being able to spend in a time that other people weren't, it gave me a lot of opportunities because of that.
wow, that's really cool. That is just awesome. Great nuggets of advice, great pieces of wisdom there. So I think you were just blessed in that you have a combination of skills. Most creative people are not entrepreneurial. They're creative. They don't know how to sell their creativity. Your creativity is ranging from acting, from producing books, from writing stories. Where does that come from? Is it something in your family? Is it just something that's wired in your genes?
That's a grey question. My father was a photographer and an inventor, so I think I got some of that creativity from him. And then my mother, well, she worked in administration for her whole career. She was also a weaver on the side. So I had definitely, a love of the arts in my life from, being a young kid. And I was very fortunate that I found that I wanted to be an actor, and I loved the theater and performing in second grade. So I was like driven as a kid. I knew what I wanted and I was going for it. So I think that helped as well.
That is awesome. Now teleport us into your future. If time was an illusion and we could go and visit the 120-year-old you, because I think you'll probably live way beyond 100 with technology and your spirit and your zest. And you are now sitting in your rocking chair, watching over your dogs or your cats or your grandchildren or whatever that's going to be. And you could have a conversation with this woman who's lived this incredible life and created all of these multiple businesses. What would you say to her? What would you say to the older you?
Mm. I would say just, it's amazing. Just keep going and keep trying to um, use your creativity in new ways and find new ways to connect seemingly disparate things, because that's where so much magic can happen. Just in that space between different industries, different ideas, different products. How can you bring things together? Yeah. And don't be afraid to try. It's okay to fail. I've certainly 35-year-old me has certainly gone through plenty of that. I'm sure 120-year-old me does as well. um, and then just find time to enjoy the moment, and don't always worry and obsess about being successful and making money and supporting your family. Like, also take time to enjoy what you have and be proud of what you accomplish along the way. And instead of feeling like you have to keep doing better and better, just take a moment and be grateful for what you have.
Gratitude is a great thing to remember, I think, for all of us. And especially now in this moment in time, with the world being in the state that it's in, just being grateful to be able to wake up every morning and breathe, to be able to look into the horizon outside of your window. There's some people who don't have their sight. I really love that, because I've had to draw on that a lot. During this pandemic, I had a few, personal tragedies. I lost my mother-in-law last year at the end of March. 3 weeks later, my mother died in Zimbabwe. So my husband and I went through a very, very difficult 2020 on a personal level, spiritual level, business level. But what got me out of that rut was to wake up every morning and think, what am I grateful for today? So thank you for reminding us of that.
Yeah, it's so important. I lost my mother in 2018, and my father actually as well in 2014 at this point. So I was 28 and 32, I guess, at the time. And yeah, I think having those experiences, it made me really feel, just like you said, grateful every day to wake up and be like, okay, I'm here. And, I had my son in the meantime. I have a 14-month-old son at this point. He's almost 14 months.
Oh,
And it's a happy and sad thing, because I wish that my parents could be
parents
around
had
to
seen him. Yeah.
experience this. But at the same time, I know they're with me in some capacity, because
Spirit,
they
yes.
created me. So they're here.
I love that. What a beautiful way to end this interview, Monica. Absolute pleasure to have met you. And thank you to everybody who tuned in today. Lots of lessons to learn from this one. So if you're one of those creative people and you don't know which way to go, you're struggling during this pandemic, dig deep. There is something inside you, like Monica, that you can use right now. I keep saying that the world is flat because of the internet. So find those jobs online. Maybe you could be a voiceover artist and use your voice for an animated cartoon character somewhere. Think beyond what you were doing before and really tap into all of your creativity to survive during this challenging time. Thank you, Monica. Your story is so inspiring. I look forward to staying connected with you and seeing what else you will come up with, because I know in this lifetime, you're probably going to come up with more and more and more business ideas. And I would love to keep track and see where you're going with that.
Oh, thank you.
Have a fantastic day, everybody. I'll be back again tomorrow with yet another amazing woman sharing her story to uplift, inspire, and help you go from where you are to where you want to be. And we are just trying to change the world one story at a time, one woman at a time. Have a great day wherever you are in the world. Bye for now. Thank you, Monica.